Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Rose Hashira coming at you again with another video, and this time it's going to be a little bit late with a matchup chart, but to help me do this video, I brought on my good friend and one of my region's best Millia players, if not the best Millia player in my opinion, the good old boy Jikh. How you doing, sir?
Hey, it's going well. How about you?
I'm doing good. So, as you know, we both play Millia. Both of us have placed really well in tournaments with this character, and probably like are the few people who really believe this character can still compete pretty well tournament-wise. So, we have to be the judges on how she's really doing matchup-wise, because a lot of people are downplaying and probably think every matchup is like in pain, even though she literally does have some good matchups right now still.
A lot of the good Millia players just completely switched off of the character, so not many people are holding on the fort.
Honestly, it's just like what? Kazam, K-Brad, Rat.
LK, of course.
Well, LK dropped her too, but like he might come back. He might, honestly.
I would be very surprised, but yeah, it's possible.
The bike is kind of nasty, so we'll see. I almost thought about biking, but I was just like, Millia's too good, though. Millia's too good.
That's fun.
All right, so how do you want to start this off? Do you want to start in the pain tier first, or do you want to start in eating?
Up to you.
All right, let's actually, to make it easier, let's just go in order of the bottom row. So
yeah,
let's start with Soul first. I want to put Soul in even. So what do you think about Soul versus Millia?
So this is actually my biggest hot take. I think almost everybody agrees with you that the Soul matchup is even. I am of the slight opinion that he deserves to be in slight disadvantage for Millia for one reason and one reason only. And that's his 3-frame 5K.
Ah, okay. I
that hits above his head. And not only can he use that as a good anti-air, which of course gets beaten by Capel, but if he hits that anti-air, he can convert it into a half-health combo, which, you know, for Millia, who's a character who has no health whatsoever, that is absolute pain.
Right.
So I could see it going either way, either even, like, bad end of even or good end of slight disadvantage.
So obviously I'm with everybody else where I think it's even, because I do understand the return off 3-frame 5K, and one of the things that made me used to think it was slight disadvantage was the fact that certain setups that we would have that hit meaty, he could just mash 5K out of and get the return. But now there are also setups where she'll land, the 5K will whiff, and you get a free 2K2D punish. So I think it kind of circumvents it, but the counter hit damage on 5K is definitely still there. And I think it's honestly his damage that does make the matchup a little bit bad for Millia. His return is just too good off counter hit, and he's very good not only at getting those counter hits, but also jailing her in the corner. Like, he's very good at keeping her contained there.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also wins the sort of risk-reward balance there, because, you know, a lot of the stuff he does, like a lot of the offense and the pressure he puts on is quite safe, and even sort of the more risky stuff he has, if you try to punish him, he can DP on recovery, which can be frustrating, but, you know, it's not like it's completely unfair. You know, Millia has chances. Millia can, again, just like any other character, you put him through the blender, he's going to die.
Right.
Other than the 5K, he doesn't have like a whole lot to get her away, but
nah, I mean, I've seen some stuff. Like, I've seen people do like random bandit bringers from the top rope to catch like over committing Millias in neutral.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Obviously, when they just try to go for Volcanic Viper, but I think Millia's really good at dealing with Volcanic Viper, unless you're just jumping with no thought. I think if you just jump and he catches your startup, he's really gonna make you pay for that, and maybe he'll force you to play grounded. But other than that, like, neutral seems like even-ish. Return obviously is Soul advantage. I think defense is probably the same, because Millia has a lot of tools to get around some of his pressure.
Yeah. I mean, just her quick backdash and also just her 4-frame 2P is good at getting out of pressure. So I think I'd be fine putting it in even. My hot take is it's a little leaning towards slight disadvantage.
I wouldn't disagree with you. Like, if someone said it was slight disadvantage, I would give the side eye, but like if they gave me good points to say why slight disadvantage, I'd let them cook.
Right.
All right, Kyle.
Kyle, I believe, just belongs solidly in the even. I think that's probably the closest like 50-50 matchup Millia has.
Yeah, this matchup, last patch, I would have put it like one of these two.
It was hard.
Yeah, the main thing that made it so hard last patch was the fact that everything he hit you led into a combo that either was strike throw guess on wake up or you were in shock state, which just already let you at a disadvantage. But now she does a pretty good job of fighting Kai well. Her air to air's got a lot better. The return on S disc, where you can actually get a meaty not only off normal hit but also counter hit, is going to be really good for her. Disc changes made the matchup well, so you can actually stabilize a lot of his stuff. And
Disc changes was huge for the Kai matchup because before it was very easy for Kai to either DPU or even just like 5PU out of like a throw disc or something like that, and there wasn't really anything you could do. But now with like the disc timing changes of season 2, it makes that much more manageable and much harder to get poked out of it.
Exactly. It's definitely even. I don't believe this is disadvantage either one. I think if you're a similar skill level, the better player should win this one. So I'd say this is about even matchup.
I completely agree.
All right. I hate her.
I hate her too.
All of my being just wants to put her in pain, but I think she's cooking. I think she's honestly cooking against Mei, because one of the things about Mei is obviously she's a counter hit character, and Millia doesn't have to play that counter poke game with Mei. She's much more floaty than her. She can kind of stand just outside of H Dolphin range and still be a threat, because like once they whip that Dolphin, it's a free punish for her. I think her, once again, not only her being female but also lightweight, means she gets mix-ups that only apply to her, and Millia can actually abuse that. So I think with the open offense working out for her, I think the damage on her is actually good, because you can like relatively 2 to 3 touch Mei, considering the hits that you get. If you get the good hits, probably going to 2 to 3 touch her.
She does have some decent guts though.
Yeah, she does, but like I think she's one of the only characters you can like break the wall with her and like not worry about it. Like once you break the wall versus Mei, I don't see much stuff she can do outside of just like gambling on Dolphin or like maybe hoping for sweep to connect.
That's true. Yeah, for sure.
So I honestly would put this like cooking or even.
I think the only problem that is, I don't think it's even a matchup problem. I think it's just a me problem. I love anti-air close slash. You can't do that against Mei.
Yes, I'm the same thing.
Jump too heavy and then you just get annihilated.
You get counter hit. I think that, and like just like you're hard to anti-air for her, she's also hard to anti-air for you. I think air to airing is like a little bit even-ish for each other because of how good JS is. But
JS is really good. I think that really puts Millia ahead in the air to air against Mei.
Honestly, like it's not only that, but she can get to the ground quicker too. If you see Mei's like jumping with you and you don't want to engage, you can just turbo fall down. So yeah, I still want to put this in cooking. I think she's fine here.
I'm fine with that.
It's pretty good. All right, good old Axel. Axel's. I think this is eating. I think this is.
We're absolutely eating Axel.
Yeah, this is like one of my best matchups. If I lose to an Axel in a tournament, then they were just better than me, or I fucked up hard. Sure. Like honestly, you should.
I think that's absolutely Millia's best matchup. I think mainly just because of Millia's airspeed. It's really hard for Axel to anti-air her, and then once Millia gets in, his only way to really get out is his reversal super, which is big and slow and clunky. So it's bad.
Yeah, this is definitely eating. She not only does she abuse him on defense, I think the combination of her air and her dash speed is like really good. Because dash blocking, you can dash block certain moves, while some characters can only take about like 1 to 2 character links. She can pull up, like literally pull up in his face in that time. And then now you have to worry about, okay, is she going to air dash at me? Is she going to run the whole way through? Is she going to S disc here? Should I press? Should I not press? And then next thing you know, Millia's just coming at you. Yeah.
And I think another thing on that matchup is his across the screen, what is it, like the sickle with the explosion? I don't remember the input for that.
I know what you're talking about, the charge, right?
Yeah. Yes. So if you block the first hit of that, Millia's dash speed is fast enough where you can just dash past the explosion, so you don't even have to worry about it.
I actually did not know that part of it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right.
Which makes Axel's pressure just really bad.
Yes, this is definitely eating. I could have been disrespecting that the entire time. All right, bet.
Yeah.
All right. Chip. I want to say even or slight. I think he's.
I want to say even. I think I think probably last patch Chip would have been slight disadvantage for Millia, but I think with the addition of Millia's 4-frame 2P, it really helps her poke out of his Rekka pressure, and his clone pressure. So I would put it even.
Even, yeah. Because one of the things I've experienced, I think there's a lot of matchups that she has that you're going to see a common theme of in the even tier list, is that it's basically a contest of who's going to maul the other first. Like, the only thing that Chip has over Millia when it comes to defending against her is that he has a DP. But it's not hard to deal with the DP at all. Like, if you know how to bait their DPs, are good.
Chip's health is so low that if he whiffs the DP, it's over. He just lost.
Yeah, you're going to two touch him. Like this, it's so good being able to two touch Chip. Like honestly, there's so few characters. Like I think the only character she really two touches is like Chip, May, Axel, Bridget, maybe Testament, Jacko, and Eno. Like that's about it though. And Ram. No, she two touches Ram too for sure. But like those are the only ones I can think. I think everyone else.
I think has slightly better defense than the others. I think Testament takes a few more hits, but
yeah.
Other than that, I think you're right.
Yeah, that would be good for Chip. Potemkin. I already know Omega's watching to see where I put him, because Omega thinks this is like eating. I think this is even.
No, I think it's at least slight disadvantage.
So you think slight disadvantage? All right, so let me hear why slight disadvantage.
So, for multiple reasons. First of all, Potemkin is a heavyweight.
Correct.
Which means you can't get your optimal combos on him. You can still, like, restand, but it's a lot less damaging, and it's harder to get a safe jump on it. Which, for Potemkin, admittedly doesn't matter as much because he doesn't have a DP. But also, he has the second highest effective health in the game, soon to be highest effective health with Nago being nerfed coming up.
Yeah.
Which means it's like a 5 to 6 hit on him. Like you have to mix him so many times.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he has back Mega Fist, which gets him out of disc pressure. Which again, you can call it out, but it is a very good way of getting out of disc pressure, which no other character has.
I think it's good, but like this is my thing, because like before, back Mega Fist used to be the bane of my existence, especially in like early season 1. But I think ever since she got the changes to not only her JS but disc going away on not going away on block, I think it's much easier to deal with this move. Like it's very hard for me to get hit by this move unless I'm not having disc. That's the only time I really get caught by it. I think not only being able to call out Mega Fist is really good, I think air to air is free. Now, to be fair, Potemkin should not be jumping at you at all.
No,
but,
God, no.
But JS beats most air-to-air situations, and if he's trying to anti-air you, Kappa will be really good. And I really think most of this matchup is just like, don't directly interact with him, and just honestly whiff punish him, because he has to be preemptive against you, and that's one of the easiest ways to get killed by Millia, is just being too preemptive. But he has to do that. I think the one thing that keeps it even though is his return, because like he's going to build 50 meter at some point in that matchup.
Yeah, and he hits Millia once and you lose, whereas you have to get guessed right like 6 times. And so I really don't. If Millia gets in and is able to just run her stuff, then Millia's gonna win. But like if there's any sort of like, if Millia has to block once, she loses. And Potemkin has some ways of getting out of Millia pressure, and so I personally think the risk reward is not quite high enough to keep Potemkin even. I personally think he's slight disadvantage, but
I feel like you're spitting. I do want to put him there too, but I'm just like as I play the matchup more, it's like in my mind it's kind of like Nago, where like okay, I know I have to be right so many times, and I know I cannot mess up. Like the moment I mess up, I'm probably gonna die. But I'm honestly, I'll put him here for now, but I might come back to Potemkin because I really think he might be even.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Okay, all right. How do we feel about Faust? I know you're still recovering from the meteor.
Yeah, from 3 meteors in 1 round. Yeah.
Yes.
I think I am personally bad at the matchup, but I think like in an actual matchup chart, I can't see Faust being worse than even.
Honestly, like, same. I'll put him even.
I don't think Millia has an advantage against Faust because Faust is has much better ways of like keeping her out and keeping her out of the air more importantly.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, Millia gets in and she can sort of run her stuff. She has some good anti-airs, which are good against Faust. You know, jumping up and throwing items or throwing mini Faust. So I think it's fine for Millia.
I think it's even as well. I think one of the main things that keeps us even as well is she's much better than the rest of the cast. And this is like one of her great strengths, that she does not have to directly interact with the minions. She can just passively just move around, get away. I just said minions. She doesn't have to work by his items as much, honestly. Like, obviously, there are some things she can't really avoid, like hammer, meteors, trumpet to a degree. You're both really interacting around that. But other items like, you know, banana peel, 100-ton weight, I don't think you really have to deal with as much. You just have to be careful, because if he goes into the air to meet you, you're probably going to lose that interaction. I think bomb bag isn't really as good with Millia, because she's fast enough to get around it. Obviously, Afro is going to be pain for anybody, especially Millia, because he'll two-touch you off that hit.
Yeah, especially now in season 2, now that guard crushes, that it definitely keeps him more playable in the Millia matchup.
Yeah, so I'd say even, because like I know when I talked about this matchup too with Lurie, just like one of the things is like once Millia's in, she's in. That and like, you know, like people say, oh, but he can crawl under disc, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you can crawl over it, but like what about the overhead options?
Yeah, then you just hit jump heavy and he dies.
Yeah, like what happens when I overhead you 48 times in a row and you're still like, oh, but crawl under disc, bro.
Yeah, just you're gonna have to hold this one time or another.
Honestly.
Yeah, so I'm fine with it.
All right, even for Faust, what do we think of Zato?
Zato, this is one of those characters that I have a really difficult time getting a read on, of like how Millia really interacts with him. Honestly, my gut says even, but it could really go plus or minus one tier. I have trouble with this one.
I'm trying to.
The thing is, he also, like Millia, he has a 4-frame 2P. He has oppose, which makes it very difficult for Millia to engage, and also his pressure is extremely oppressive. But I think Millia has an easier time getting out of Zato corner pressure than a lot of other characters.
Yes.
And other than that 4-frame 2P, Zato doesn't have many options to get Millia off him.
I agree with that. I think her movement speed is definitely good, because she can either not only run under certain options that he presents, but you know, if you recognize a pose happening, you can pull up and run at him if you are mid range versus him. I think in the air you don't have to be as worried about Frog, but you know, don't get trapped, because Zato still has a godlike 6P. Other than that, it's basically like who's going to maul the other. I think the only thing that really might set Zato apart from Millia is that, one, he's going to kill her like really, really fast if he gets the hit, and I think his access to meter is just better. And I think the ability to have that meter and just loop your offense consistently, and then let's rotate multiple 50-50s at you, like not even like in sequences at a time, but just like seconds. It's like 50-50 once, okay, you block that one, boom, 50-50 again. I think that might put this a slight disadvantage Millia, because I think defensively this is very hard.
I could see that. He like you said with the meter, he uses positive bonus incredibly efficiently. He just puts you in the corner, and then he's just gonna do sword super, reset Eddie, and just keep it going.
Exactly.
Which makes it tough, but I almost feel like that's more of a Zato general thing than a Millia specific thing, but I don't know. It could go either way.
Let's go even, because it's one of those matchups like you're going to maul each other.
Yeah, whoever wins neutral wins.
Right, exactly. Whoever wins neutral and steals the opponent's burst. Because I've seen some rounds where like the person just gets dominated in neutral, then let's say they don't burst, they just find a way to escape, and the other person gets their burst baited. Right. Then they win. We saw it in Daruino versus Leffen at Evo.
Oh yeah.
Leffen was really good at just like taking his burst, and then it's like, okay, bet now you're gonna die.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I hate this character, so I know where I want to put them. I know where it should be, but I know I want to put you right here. But how do you feel about Ram?
I would personally put her at slight disadvantage, but she's definitely lower than even. It's not a great matchup for Millia.
This there's a lot of things I hate about this matchup. Not only with risk return, but like one of the things I enjoyed about the first version of this game, like release version of the game versus Ramlethal, is that she wasn't as good mid screen. So I could really just control mid screen against her in neutral, and I could just not play around the corner. That would be my whole game plan. Is just don't let yourself get cornered. Keep her fighting mid screen, because you're not only are you going to get your best mix there, but if she hits you there, she's not going to meme you like she would in the corner.
Right.
But like now, if she hits you mid screen, she's going to put you in the corner. She probably took half your health doing it. She'll meme you defensively in the corner, and then once you get hit there, it's just going to be like 2K2D Mortabata. Oh look, you dead.
Yeah. I think the only thing that Millia has in this matchup that like makes it not like complete death is that she has such a high jump, like with her super jump, double jump, that she can, if she guesses right on like Ram going for a low instead of, you know, throwing sword high or meeting you in the air with an air grab, you can sort of get over her and then turbo fall out of the corner, and then you're out of the pressure. But again, that comes down to just guessing right, and if you guess wrong, you lose 3/4 of your health.
You don't even lose 2/4. You could lose the entire game.
Yeah.
Like Ramlethal has some absolutely ridiculous routes that are like not even that hard to do. That's like one of the main things. It's just like the ease of access to damage. I think their access to set play is probably about the same, but like the return is just too much for Ram.
Right. Yeah. Any hard knockdown, and then you got to pray that you can get out.
Yeah, but hopefully this patch like makes it even with the changes to Rekka, but I think a lot of the core problems are still going to be prevalent. I think she probably stay here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
All right. How do you feel about
I think
Leo?
This one goes.
Yeah, we objectively this goes in pain, but I know you enjoy this matchup. This is probably one of your best matchups.
Right. That's just me personally, just because I have so much experience with it. But yeah, because Millia does have more options than people think she does in this matchup, but it doesn't make it easy.
Right.
Honestly, the biggest thing is Leo's flash kick, because since it's just a down up charge motion, if you cross him up, he can still DP. He doesn't have to guess right. He can DP whatever side you're on,
Exactly.
which makes it hard. His air to air is very strong with his jump slash. That like a lot of the times beats Millia's jump slash, unless you're at like, you know, at the disjoint range. Again, he's a heavy, just like Potemkin. You can't get your good combos on him, and that is a lot more important because you need the sort of restand safe jump, but that is so much harder to access on heavies.
Right.
And then also he has very, again, like Potemkin, very high effective health, and so it makes it really hard to actually get in.
I would say I agree with most of that. I think another thing that we could touch on as well is she's not good at fighting his 5H stance. I think that's one of the things that she's like really bad at, and I think you need to be good at that. Like the characters who fight that really well are usually the characters that beat him. So like Nago, Testament, HC, Baiken, where the Axel. I think all those characters are really good at fighting in that stance, so it makes the matchup a little bit easier. I think,
and I think that the common thread with all those characters also is that they have very long normals,
Exactly.
which sort of keep them at bay, which Millia really doesn't have outside of Far Slash.
Right, and obviously, you know, they can 6P the Far Slash. I think they also have a lot of moves to not only get around it, but just get under it as well. I don't know how Sweep interacts with Far Slash, but I pray to God it is not low profile under it.
That's actually a good question. I should know the answer to that, but I can't. I'm not totally sure, so I don't want to spread misinformation.
No, you're good. Like my matchup knowledge with Leo and Millia is super outdated. Most of my matchup knowledge when it comes to Leo is all with Testament. It's been with Testament for like, I want to say, since the June 10th patch. It's just been all Testament.
And you know, at the beginning of season 2, I actually thought this matchup was going to be much better for Millia. Not like better than even, but like better than the pain tier, because with the 2P you can mash out of Stancel, which is really good, but that's only if they Stancel Far Slash. But if they Stancel 5k 6k, they can do 5k 6k into Flash Kick, and then they get free back turn off of that.
Exactly.
And that does beat the 2P, which people didn't figure out until, you know, a few months into season 2.
But yeah, I think we're in agreement. This matchup is pain.
Mhm.
I think one of the main things that also discouraged me too is that like Millia versus like old Leo before the June 10th patch is probably like slight disadvantage, maybe even. I think she's really good at fighting old Leo, but like Leo's still technically. I don't want to really say got better. Like he got better in a couple of ways, mainly his offense. But like,
well, I mean, in season 2, he got nerfed compared to his season 1. He got way fewer
right,
ways to get into back turn. His sweep got nerfed pretty hard.
right.
And Millia basically only got buffed in season 2, even if it wasn't that great. So I really think it was still pain in season 1.
All right. Yeah, so let's agree. We can agree. Pain for Leo. How do you feel about Nago?
Nago, he's worse than even. He's either slight disadvantage or pain.
I think slight disadvantage, and it's mainly because I think Millia has all the tools to fight this character. I just think her return is like not good because think about what you're using to punish certain moves. All right, you see them with 2S. You're not going to get there in time, so what do you have to use? S disc. You don't get a combo off that unless you have meter, and even with meter, it's not going to do that much to Nago. If he's whiffing far slash or 5H, you can 2K profile it into mix. But what happens if he mashes out, which he can do because his 5P is good enough, or you know you like let's say you don't even get the meaty disc Oki. Let's say you get the one where you try to throw them and he just throws you out of the air and he just back throws you to the corner. I think honestly his return for being right is much higher than Millia's return for being right, and that's just what keeps this even. Because like we've even talked about it before, it's Nago has to be right just once, and then the entire round or even the game itself will just be flipped on its head into his favor.
Yeah. And I think another thing that we'd be remiss not to at least mention is he does have the highest effective health in the game, which means, again, just like Potemkin, you need to like be right 6 times. He needs to be right once.
You have to be right that, and I think like one of the other things too is I think she's good at like the basic ways of answering Nago's pressure. So like, you know, FDing him out so he can't bite you on the second hit of far slash, answering Fukyo relatively well with the 4-frame 2P. Yeah. I think like bursting and YRC with her is like really good because you have, they're not good options, but you can still go for them. Like you still go for IED crossover and or just like, you know, run up 2K2D and try to like.
Or even just raw bad moon for a mix.
I've never actually raw bad mooned off YRC.
Oh, I do that all the time because people don't expect it.
Honestly, I need to take notes from you because your offense is like insane. I have just the basic Millia pressure, but I'm like, hey, it literally works at every level, so I'm going to keep using it.
Hey, you gotta respect it no matter what.
Exactly. But I feel like this is honestly my favorite matchup as Millia is versus Nago. But I have to agree, this is a slight disadvantage. I can't.
It's kind of a fun matchup. I agree with that.
It's fun, especially if like the other Nago knows how to properly fight Millia, because then now they're picking the defensive options to beat out whatever your offensive pressure is. So like, you know, when you do your safe jump and you do like, if you're trying to go for double overhead and he starts saying, okay, well now I'm going to press 5P in between or 6P in between. All right, so now I'm just going to do overhead, land 2K. That beats that. Now they're going to start selecting for that and you just keep rotating your options. So I think that battle is really good, but the returns is what makes this so bad for Millia. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, how do you feel about Geo?
I think we're cooking with Geo.
Cooking with Geo? I was going to say even. I'd say even, but I can also see cooking. I think one of the things is she's really good at keeping Millia guessing on defense. I think her return is good as well. Obviously, the resource battle is heavily in Geo's favor because once she builds 50 to 100 meter, and she's going to build 50 to 100 meter, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it in a round.
Yeah.
Her not only her health gets higher, but her defense just gets higher. So I think towards like later in the round, I think this goes to like Geo's favor as time goes on. But I think early to before she gets 50 meter, it's definitely cooking or even, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think Geo cannot deal with Millia's air movement nearly as well as many other characters can. I think because her air-to-air normals are really not that good. So Millie can just sort of like float around her and choose her time to engage and like not
Honestly,
even deal with her on the ground.
trust me, I know the feelings. There are definitely a lot of times where I'm fighting a Geo player and I just see them whiffing 6P under me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're aware I have Capel, right? Like you're aware this is like death for you.
But actually, Geo's like DP motion. I don't remember the name of it. The flip kick.
Hmm.
That actually, I've had that beat Capel like multiple times. It's actually like a okay anti-Capel tool, but it's still very risk reward.
Right. Because, like, whenever I see, and this is also just when I'm fighting Geos, a lot of the times when I see them use the DP, it's like dash up and they're banking on the fact that I'm going to use Capel in this spot. So once
Yeah.
I see it, I'm just like, okay, I'm just not going to use it in this spot anymore. I'm either going to
Yeah.
wait or just like try to turbo fall my way out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Turbo Fall's very good for, people expecting Capel.
Because it throws out their timing too. They're like trying to react to air grab once it gets low to the ground. I'm like, no, I'm already on the ground. So
Yeah, for
better luck
sure.
next time.
All
All
right.
right.
What about you? What do you think, Anji?
Anji, I think Anji is either eating or cooking. Honestly, I think we still win this matchup.
I
I just don't know
I
how good
I
because
think maybe eating, but could go either or.
I think the one thing that could keep this from being eating is not only is his damage now more consistent, but his
Mhm.
access to Oki is going to be much more consistent, especially in the future patches coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to help him out, and the fact that he has like actual mix now, like I forgot what the like the low and the high options are called off Fujin, but I'm like it's too hard for me to block at this point. I think
Yeah.
it's actual mix and like the return, especially when they do it off butterfly and the butterfly hits them off the second hit. The return is just too insane. But like in neutral and especially like I think neutral is like the main thing that keeps this Millia favor because Anji's whole problem is he has to commit. He has to commit very hard in neutral to get the hits. And like yes, Ko is good, his 2D is good, his jab like crouching jab is obviously really good, but
Mhm.
Millia doesn't have to deal with like a lot of that stuff. Like if they preemptively Ko, you're gonna run. You can run under and get a close slash punish. If
Yep.
they're just throwing out sweep in neutral, you have 6H. You can beat it on reaction. I think she just has way too many tools to call him out for being aggressive.
Yeah, and also Milia's 2P beats his overhead, and if he tries to frame trap with the with Rin, his low. So 2P in Anji's pressure is actually very difficult for Anji to deal with.
They're mashing
Which
on you
makes
and you're mashing on them.
Yeah. And also, if you see him spinning, Milia's run speed is so fast. You can run up and grab before he has time to get out of spin.
Exactly. And before he could even do his with cancel options. So I think honestly this is one of his best matchups. I could honestly put this in eating, but I just think the conversion ability that he has and his access
Yeah.
to Oki, it makes it like Anji can fight. Anji's not
Yeah.
getting smoked like before, but Anji's fighting now.
Yeah, and he has a pretty decent like anti-air, like the jump up, which does beat Capel,
Yeah.
which is definitely his favor. But,
Yeah, Ko used to be the only good thing that he had, and I remember they said Anji struggles to anti-air, so we buffed Ko. And I was like, okay,
yeah,
this is like that was the only thing he was good at.
right.
All right, Ino, how do you feel about Ino?
Personally, pain, but I don't think the matchup is actually pain. I think the matchup is like very, very like aggressively even. I don't know how to block against Eno.
I mean, I think it's even or cooking because I feel like obviously offense and defense for both characters is pretty much the same way. You're both mixing each other just in different ways. She's just hitting you with a lot of resets and instant overheads. You're just hitting her with 4 ways, and both of you can't really defend against each other. But I think the air neutral and the grounded neutral are both in Millia's favor. I think
It's true. Millia does win the neutral, but if Eno wins one neutral interaction, she can loop her offense pretty well, and
Yeah.
Millia doesn't have many good ways of getting out of it. So like, I definitely think it's either even or it could even be slight cooking. But I need to learn the matchup better. I just need to grind it.
This is so hard. This is so hard because you can have
Yeah.
these characters fight each other. Because the neutrals Millia favor, but defense and offense are even.
Yeah,
I'll
because
put it
a lot of
even.
Kino stuff is a lot safer than Millia's mix too, which makes it kind of
Right.
hard. Like you can't even like really wing her out of a lot of stuff.
Oh, trust me, I've tried. Hax has definitely just like baited out. I'm pretty sure I wingered against him 5 times. I'm pretty sure 4 of them got baited.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
feel that way with you.
yeah, we both have our Eno players to kill. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, yeah.
All
We'll
right,
see.
we don't even have to really just like say anything about this one. We know exactly where Gold Lewis is.
Yeah, it's not great. Not an easy matchup.
This like not only do I struggle against Guard Crush as a mechanic, I just think I I just hate that Gold Lewis is just like flailing so much
Yeah,
against the character. I think he has a really I think the fact that he can flail and the fact that you can't kill him, and as you're building up as you're killing him, like he's building up a security meter. So one back throw or one random hit in neutral is immediate drone, and you cannot fight out. You're not going to win by blocking. You're not going to win by obviously you're not going to win by taking the hit. You take the hit, you're going to die. But
Yeah.
I think it's just really really bad for him.
And drone just free wins neutral basically. You can try to jump over it, but you know, Gold Lewis has his jump dust, which just smacks overhead, and then you just get knocked down and you lose.
Yeah.
It's hard. And again, this is a common theme among matchups that Millia loses. He's a heavy, and he has a very high effective health. So it just makes it hard.
Yeah, it's not fun. Like honestly, I'd say he's probably one of like I think only these two are like characters you might have to counterpick for. I think Millia's fighting everybody else pretty fine, but these two you probably have to invest in a counterpick.
I'd make an argument for possibly Potemkin and Nago too, but it depends on what you're comfortable with.
Right.
Like I'm personally fine against Nago, even though Nago is definitely winning. But
Right. All right, Jacko. All right. I don't care what anybody says. Jacko is even, and no one can tell me otherwise. No one has given me a case as to why this matchup is not even.
see, I personally would put her in cooking.
Oh, why do you say cooking?
I say cooking because I think Millia has a much easier time in the neutral, and she actually has quite a few tools to get rid of Jacko's minions.
Right.
Like if you have all the minions set up and you have meter, you can just like full screen send Haircar and it destroys all minions.
Yeah.
You can Roman cancel to get a free 50-50. I think Millia's air options Jacko has a very tough time dealing with. And I think once Millia gets going, Jacko doesn't have any good ways of getting out. Now, of course, when Jacko gets her pressure started, if she gets the setup and Millia's in the corner,
Oh yeah.
just all right, surrender, go next. It's over. Like you can't do anything.
You're just getting kicked in the sternum over and over again by his character.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Millia being as mobile as she is makes it harder for Jacko to get that set up.
So my opinion on even mainly comes from like how they fight each other. I think Millia is really good, once again, as you said, at fighting minions. But I think it's basically only once you have like 2 minions. Like if she has 2 minions out, Millia can fight her pretty well. I think once she has that 3rd minion, depending on the positioning, and this is something that I encountered with not only C-Stream but Brosive Jest, where they would have 2 minions in front of me, like directly in front of me, and then the 3rd minion is close to them, basically like protecting them. So if I misjudge my landing attack as I'm coming in from the air, I'll hit the minion instead, and then they get a free punish. So I think Jacko's ability to not only shield herself from that is going to be really good. I think her return is obviously good, but Millia has a lot of ways of circumventing some of her big starters. So like she doesn't have to deal with 5H and neutral as much. Sweep is kind of a problem if you're just pulling up, but if you're playing this matchup well, you should be like, once you get to mid-range, you should be aware that most Jacko players want to press sweep. So you should be mixing in not only just running up full screen, but also hair car, IEDing once you get into that spot where they're going to sweep, and not only 6H, because if they do sweep and you 6H, you're going to get probably one of your best damage starters, and to either like wall break or you just like reset everything.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth noting that her only reversal
Mhm.
is a command grab, which you would only want to reversal super Millia basically when she's in her disc,
Mhm.
which she's in the air. So you're
Exactly.
not hitting that.
It's literally auto bait every single time. And I think when I did play Bros of Jets, he did a very good job of when they did go for raw super. It was never on. I think they probably did it on disc like maybe twice, and that was later in the set when maybe they were getting like a little bit frustrated of like, okay, I'm not killing this Millia. I got to do something to just get her out right now. But like most of the good raw supers were off like meaty close slash. At the end of Lush Shaker doing the super, but like those spots is fine to do it. On disc, definitely, it's auto bait every single time.
Yeah. So I think if you want to put her in even, I think that's fine. I personally would say cooking, but
You know,
you,
let's put cooking because we put Zato here, so
okay.
we're gonna put Jekko in cooking. All right, this is the big one: Millia versus Happy Chaos.
I've gone back and forth on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's pain, honestly. Uh, I think it's my hot take is it leans even, but I think objectively it's probably slight damage. Or slight damage, sorry, slight disadvantage.
I'm of the same brain you are, but one of the things I've noticed when it comes to fighting Happy Chaos is okay. Let's assume you lost round start. Okay, so Happy Chaos is just doing the thing to you. No gun shot reload, gun curse, doing whatever he wants to do.
Right.
You get in. By the time you got in, he probably has 50 meter, which means you just spent half the round trying to get in, and then by the time you get your jump in, if he blocks it, he's most likely going to YRC you, and then he can continue his pressure. So I think like the fact that by the time you get to him, if he wins round start, he already has access to a defensive mechanic to get you off is going to be really pain. It really feels bad if that happens. But if you win round start, I honestly think you just maul him. Like I don't think it's like it's not even funny how bad Millia mauls him on defense.
Well, because her move speed and air dash speed is so high, you can really get in a lot of situations like before you get shot to death. And also,
They look different
she
online.
has easy ways to avoid curse.
Jeez. Wow, that's a lot of rolls.
I like how a random ad just played on the on
Yeah,
the
that's
site.
great.
All right, it's okay. So that's fixed. Any continue your point, please?
Oh yeah, I think just the fact that Millie is so fast makes it really difficult for him to effectively zone her, and he really has no answer to Capel.
Yeah,
He has no real good anti-airs, at least good anti-airs that like can beat Capel. All he really has is going for the air grab, which is again tough to do.
right.
And Millie can avoid curse pretty well because she's so fast.
I think that's going for her. I think another thing is some of her like I don't want to call them teleport options, but she definitely kind of just like zips after you, especially
Yeah.
with Turbo Fall PRC, because there have exactly Mirage too. I think those things have, especially when the Happy Cats does not have 50 meter to really protect themselves. I've seen that it even messes with reticle. So there have been times where like I'm floating on top of the screen trying to find a way in, and then I decide, all right, I have 50 meter, I'm going to do the Turbo Fall PRC, and then they try to steady aim, and I move past the steady aim. Like it's not going to track her in time. They'll try to shoot, but I'm out of the way. So I think that's really good. But you have to wait till you get 50 meter, and Millia's not good at 50 meter. And 9 times out of 10, if you're fighting Happy Chaos, you're probably not going to have 50 meter until you hit him.
Yeah.
So
and
it's very rare to get it.
at the end of the day, Happy Chaos is still Happy Chaos.
Exactly.
He gets one hit, you get locked down, you get wall slumped, repeat.
Exactly, and there's nothing you do. We saw it at CL Otaku. We saw Happy Chaos just 5D reset Millia over and over and over again, and there was nothing they could honestly do to defend themselves.
Yeah, it's tough. So even though Millie has some good things, I think Happy Chaos objectively does still win the matchup.
Yeah, which is honestly crazy because you would think with how the characters work, you would think it'd be here, honestly, but.
In a just world, we would be eaten.
Honestly, because that's how it was before we really saw Happy Chaos get optimized. But this is why I tell people, like, wait until we see the character at their possible peak at the time before we start judging who wins and who loses. Because when he first came out, it was definitely here. I felt like it was here, but now it's a different ballgame.
Yep, I'm with you there.
All right, Baiken. How do you feel about the Baiken matchup?
I think there are some naysayers. I think there's some Millia doomers who put this as like a either slight disadvantage or pain, but I think it's closer to even. I could see some disadvantage, but I think it's even.
I think it's even or slight disadvantage. The main thing that like makes me think it's disadvantage is not only her high guts, which makes her harder to kill at the end of the round. I think it's honestly her meter gain and her air conversion ability. Like, honestly, you do want to play Baiken on the ground and hope to whiff punish her, but she has so many good moves on the ground that eventually you do want to try and go to the air. And yeah, she's bad at anti-airing you, but she is really good at air-to-airing you. And if she counter hits you with, God forbid, JS or JD, it's not even funny the damage she does.
Floating.
Yeah, it's honestly a meme. It's really bad what happens to her.
It's bad, and she has access to TK Yonzansen, which is just a better version of Bad Moon, and you get a much bigger combo conversion off of it with Red RC.
Exactly, that's the main thing. She gets a comp, because doesn't she get some combos off that mutilus too?
I think she gets a small one if it's counter hit, but
right.
I think raw she needs RRC.
I'm fine with that, but it's still like, God, this used to be like such a fun matchup, and now like the more I play it, I'm honestly kind of with the Doomers. I'm starting to feel like it's like right over here. It's either pain or slight disadvantage, but I'm okay with like slight disadvantage or even, honestly.
I'm fine with slight disadvantage too. I think we can put her there. I think it's with the Millia matchup, it is harder for her to use parry because Millia is a lot more unpredictable, but still.
I think it's that and the damage and resources. I think that's the main thing. Because it's one of those, it's the thing with like Happy Chaos and Potemkin as well, and Nago too. It's like they're at some point they're going to have 50 meter, and you have to RPS around that, and the RPS is generally in Baiken's favor, and she builds meters so much more consistently now.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Testament. Are you saying Testament is cooking or eating?
You know, if you'd asked me this a month ago, I would have said absolutely eating. But the more I've played the matchup, and I think the more people have refined Testament, I think we're probably closer to cooking.
I will agree with that.
Yeah, I think Testament's 6P is so strong that like sometimes not even Capel can fight against it.
Yeah.
And I think even just like the H Grave Reaper, used well, is really good at just keeping Millia out.
Yeah, I would say H Griever is good. I think the main thing with Sun Testament players is they know how strong 6P is, so they kind of want to like crutch on it in the matchup, which is like the one thing you're not allowed to do, especially against Millia. If you're just randomly 6Ping, hoping for the anti-air, it's not going to work out in your favor. Yeah. She's definitely much better at jailing Millia, like really setting traps to keep Millia out of the air. I think H Grave Reaper is like a very underrated tool for like stopping Millia round start if they just want to immediately jump in, because Millia does not have a lot of direct ways of beating that out. Because I've labbed that round start, and the only one that I found that directly can beat it is S-Disc. And it's not even consistent if you're going to get the hit. You're more often than not going to get a trade. So
I think also if you want to get really ballsy, you can round start Haircar, and I think that should beat it. But
yeah, I only round start Haircar when they backdash though. There are a lot of Testaments who just want to backdash immediately, and I'm like, I see you. Don't do that.
I do that against Happy Chaos too.
Yeah, I'm like, we can. Millia's blessed to have a move that can take her like from one end of the screen to the other, but it's not like exploding. Like she still has to get into the car and then drive said car and get to you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nago just turns into a Beyblade and flings himself at you.
And can cancel it anytime he wants.
Exactly. Don't even get me some. Thank God it's at least -3, but
yeah,
that zero on block, that was dumb. That was dumb.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But yeah, with Testament, they just, once Millia gets in, she's in for good. And I don't think Testament has enough of an output to keep them even.
Not enough of an output, and I don't even think their reversal super is really good enough to beat
It's
Millia. It's too slow, and I think it's really hard to just like bait out. Like there are some times where like I'm not expecting super, it just the nature of Millia's mix-ups just has it bait. And I'm just like, all right, this
doesn't hit
sucks.
particularly high, but it hits particularly far. But Millia comes from the air. So.
Exactly. That, and I think a lot of her float mixes also do a really good job of crossing up Testament. I don't know if it's the hat or the height, or I don't know what it is, but sometimes I'll get cross up, and I'm like, this is not supposed to cross up Testament right now. But okay, we'll take it.
Yeah.
All right, Testament cooking. How do you feel about Bridget?
I really don't know. Like, she's been out for quite a while now, so I feel like I should have a good idea, but like, I don't know. Like, I guess my guess is she's probably between even and cooking, but I don't know. It's tough.
I'm comfortable putting her at even because like I think once Bridget gets Millia in the corner, it's definitely easier to keep her contained, not only with the use of yo-yo, but also like 2H. I think 2S is like really good. And she has a lot of far-reaching normals where she doesn't have to commit as hard as she would mid-screen.
Yeah.
But I think Millia is just like very, very good at not only maneuvering around her normals, but she does have to be careful. Like this is one interaction I've seen happen when I've played Hourglass, is where he'll see me in the air, he'll back up, waiting for Capel or Turbo Fall, and if he sees either one of them, he's going to 2H, and it usually kind of hits me out of it.
Yeah, 2H, and even Bridget's 6P is like pretty strong and has quite a bit of range, so it's hard to Capel it.
Exactly. So I think she's probably one of the only few characters that has a really like decent time anti-airing Millia consistently. And obviously her offense is really good. Like her mix is actually crazy. Do not believe Bridget players if they say this character has no mix. This character absolutely has mix. Exactly. Like this character absolutely has mix. Don't believe them. All right.
Yeah.
But
also she has pretty low effective health, and so Millia, once Millia gets in, she only has to be right a couple times.
Probably like 2 to 3, depending on the hits. Yeah. And her DP is not even really that good. Like you have to think about it, but like. Yeah, I'm not considering it as much as I consider like Soul DP, Kai DP.
Soul can DP, Red Roman cancel, and just you lose your entire health bar.
Exactly.
Bridget, you get DP'd. Okay, I lost 3 health, and I'm off her now, but it's not really a big deal.
Exactly, it's not that bad, honestly. Yeah, I'm good with even. I'm good with even.
I'm satisfied with that.
All right, the last one, the new ever-growing boy, Sin. I'm honestly going to make this a prediction. I think this is probably going to end up either even or maybe slight disadvantage, but I think most likely even.
I think even is the most likely call. We're gonna have to see how the character progresses as time goes on, but I don't really see anything he has that would put him at much of a disadvantage for Millia. His DP sucks, and if he moves up DP, you just get a full combo off of it, and it's much easier to bait than a lot of other DPs. You can poke out of a lot of his pressure. He has quite a few holes, unless he like really commits to like the follow up. And so, I mean, his damage is good, and he has like pretty decent pressure, but I don't know. I don't see him really getting an advantage over Millia.
I think one thing he has like not going for him versus Millia is that he's a counter poke character, and Millia's really good at like staying away from them because she'll force them to be preemptive and neutral, which is obviously not what they want to do. I think his return is pretty good versus like once he hits her, he's going to do a lot of damage, especially if he has stamina to burn. He does. I've seen this a couple of times. I don't know how good it's going to be, but I have definitely seen some strings like where they'll end and Beak Driver follow up, and then they'll do the DP, and Millia like just cannot punish the DP like in the middle. I don't know why, and I'm going to try and figure this out. because someone memed on me. I don't remember who they are, but they definitely did beak driver into the follow-up and then immediately DP'd, and I labbed it, and I was like, wait, I literally cannot. I am pushing every button I possibly could think of, and I'm not getting a punish. I might just have to hold this. Now, granted, it's still, you know, DP on block, so you get a punish, but I'm just like, why? Why do you have to deal with this?
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that, so I guess that's something I'll have to look into.
Listen, PSN players are crazy.
Yeah.
they'll find something.
Yeah.
Other than
Great.
that, I think this is like this is pretty good. I think there are some hot takes in here, but like other than that, I think most of these are like relatively what you would expect to see in a Millia matchup chart.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, like there's a couple I would like slightly move around, but that's more of a me thing because I Millia weird.
Right. That I think we have like also not only two different play styles with her, but like viewpoints on how to approach matchups. So I think our differences do like differ in certain ways, especially in how we fight certain characters. But other than that, like this is pretty cut and dry. I will ask, since we do have like the patch notes already here, how are you feeling about Millia? Like before you get your hands on her?
I have way more hope for Millia than like most other Millia players I've seen on like Twitter.
Bro, I saw.
I've seen so many doomers and I don't understand. Millia got nothing but buffs. Like there's nothing to doom about.
I don't get it. Like I understand what people say when like all Millia players are down players, and I'm just like,
yeah,
it's not me, but like I see it now. I'm not in the Millia Discord for a reason.
Yeah, I think the only like non like Millia doomer is Walter. Walter's always on that hopium, which
Walter believes in that character. Shout out to Walter. Like
I love Walter. He's the best.
I think he's good. I don't hear much from Kazam when it comes to Millia as much anymore, but like hopefully he's not on like the doomer side of it.
Yeah, he switches between Millia and Testament, which is more than you can say about a lot of players.
Yeah, like I'm of the same mindset, but it's really only for like 2 matchups, maybe 3. I'm probably going to start learning Testament versus Nago, just because I've just heard so much like how many Nago players just hate Testament. But I'm like,
yeah,
I don't see y'all fighting a lot of Testaments in brackets. So is it really that bad, or is Testament not making that far?
Right. You know, I'm really interested in seeing like what they mean by the 6K recovery decreased. I want to see if that means we can actually convert off of 6K now, because that button is useless right now.
But I think I'm probably like one of the few Millia players who actually uses that button, and I use it in like very select situations. So I use it like off wall break, because you're like, oh, they're probably going to like run up IED over my head and then cross up, or maybe he's like gonna run up 2K, and I'm like, no, 6K. 6K.
See, the most frequent time I do it is when I miss input.
Oh my god. Okay, I won't lie. I have had that happen before, where like I want to run up 5K, or like OTG 5K.
Yeah.
And I held forward for too long, and 6K comes out, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
There goes that setup.
But you know, Zato got conversion off of his 6K in this patch, so maybe that means Millia's getting it too. We'll see though.
We'll see. Like at the end of the day, it's Millia hopium. I'm hoping for the best.
Me too.
And like even if this character's bottom 1, I don't think I can like drop her, because like I've tried.
I'm gonna keep playing.
I've tried, but like I can't do it. She's too fun.
I'm a dead ender.
A dead end. Exactly. Millia dead ender. Let's go.
That's me.
All right, bro. That'll be it for the video. Jikh, thank you so much for coming along and helping me make this matchup chart. It was fun doing it with you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And I will see you at TOT, I'm pretty sure, right?
I'll be there.
All right. I'll catch you then, man.
All right. See ya.
See ya.